Welcome to Bar Mills Live. We made it. You may have seen us testing earlier. Sorry, we were just playing around. Anyway, welcome to March 7th. Today's the 7th? Yeah, March 7th. Technically the first Monday of the month. As always, I start this show off with some customer photos and just kind of saying hi. And, it gives us a few minutes to really kind of let everybody get into the live stream and kind of say hi. So if you're out there, I am monitoring everything. So I'm keeping an eye on you. Make sure you say hi. And as we're going through these photos, keep in mind any questions, any topics that you would like to, talk about or like to hear the guys talk about, hear us talk about. Certainly drop them in the comments so that we can, get it on air and discuss it. We do read all of the comments as we're doing this, so don't be shy. Anyway, let's get to my part of the show here. I've got a bunch of photos today. Technically, I've got like 15 or 16. But let's start off with about as big as you can get. This is Victor Lee and an O-scale diorama that he's working on. This isn't something that we really see all that often as far as, that many O-scale structures in one photograph. We get a lot of structures of O-scale and all the scales. As a reminder, if you've got something you want to send us, don't be afraid to send it. But anyway, this is a photo that Victor Lee sent us. And if you notice, there is, let's count them together. We've got Tory Hill, Wicked Wandas. Looks like something in the back there. I can't tell what that is. Bud Smiley's, Bailey's, which is an awesome kit. And he actually has both parts of Bailey's there. And then along the other side, I'm seeing Buster's Barbershop and the Gravely Building. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't count that high. That is a lot of O-scale structures in one picture. Great job, Victor. Certainly send us some more. I mean, we love to see it. Next up, we have Bob Page and his Cigar Corner. Now, this is a really interesting shot. We really don't get a whole lot of shots that are kind of street level. And, a shot like this, you can really see the fine details, the really close-up details. If you'll notice, the structure in the foreground is the cigar building. And if you look really closely, you can actually see where he has done a really, really good job with the tip outs, the glass showcases on the sides of the building. That was kind of an extra detail that we kind of threw in there, not knowing how far anybody would go with it, but he's really done a good job. And then in the back, you can see the tobacco, J-Bomb Tobacco Company, which, again, awesome job. Really, really good job. Kind of not too clean, but definitely not over-weathered. Again, great job, Bob. I've got, I believe, one more photo of his diorama here. Yep, look at that. Again, great job. I love the way that he, kind of weathered the bricks there. I mean, really, he even used the figures that came with the kit. Wonderful job. If you have any more, certainly send them to us. Next up, we're still in the B's. Next up is Brad and his version of Cigar Corner. Now, when I was going through the photos today, because it's a process, I have to load everything into the program. This photo struck me for a couple reasons. Mainly because those billboards reminded me how old I am. And secondly, to see, something we did so long ago on top of something that we literally just did. I mean, it's nice to see. It's kind of like I guess a throwback, but not really. Back to the Future, maybe. Where's Doc? Anyway, if you'll notice, that's the Purina Mills. Which, if memory serves me right, we actually had two different versions of that, I think. I don't remember. The Sinclair billboard, which was a classic. Really, really great job. And it's just nice to kind of see, the old on top of the new. I've got one more photo from Brad here. This is his version. Okay, he's just playing with my emotions here with all these billboards. This is his version of Stewart's Rods. Now, this is a kit that we haven't gotten a whole lot of photos. So if you've done this kit and you have a decent photo, please send it to us. I'd love to showcase more of, especially the newer structures. Honestly, any structure is great, but, I'd love to see some of the newer structures. Now, I'm not sure we're going to need any gasoline at Stewart's Rods, but again, a great job. Next up, we've got, let's see here, Jeff. We've got a couple photos from Jeff here. This here is actually quite a few of our structures. We've got the Majestic Hardware in the background. We've got the Jerry's, and this is all HO scale. And then off to the side, we actually have one of the twin sheds. Got one more shot of this. Let's see here. This here is actually the side of Jerry's. If you're familiar with this structure, it's one that we came out with at this point almost 2 years ago. A really nice structure that, doesn't take too much space, but you can really kind of really add a little bit of detail and tell a good story without a whole lot of space. Next up, we have Michael and his version of, part of Cemetery Hill. Now, this is another diorama or structures that we really haven't gotten a whole lot of. So if you've got a version, we'd love to see it. The next one here is actually probably my favorite structure of the night. Let's see here. Art's Crab Shack. I promise you Art doesn't sell crabs or have crabs or anything like that. But this is a unique way to use this structure. This is Waterfront Willies, Wicked Wandas, which we've actually seen a couple different ways. One of those ways kind of became Smoky Hill. Let's see what else we got here. We've got Richard and his version of Ludlow that's for some reason really tiny. Let's see if we can blow that up. Well, it's that daggone internet. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
So there's his version of Ludlow's. Richard, next time when you send in a photo, send it a little bigger. Just kidding. Anyway, that is his version of Ludlow's. A great job there. I'd love to see some more. Let's see here. Next we have Long Time, Many Time, Scott's version of Wicked Wandas. Let's see what we got here. I guess editing on the fly here. All right. Eventually we'll see Scott's Wandas. There you go. Not really sure what happened to that photo, but let's see here. Oh. Nice job, Scott. I love when you send in photos. Let's see what we got next here. We've got Steve's version of Jerry's and HO. Let's see what we got here. Oh. I think I had some problems here. There is Jerry's. A very, very clean shot. Looks nice. I love the elevating car. Actually, not too far from here, there's an elevating car at an old diner. So, that kind of hits my fancy. Let's see what we got. We've got two more here. We've got Tim and Donna with their Springfield. Let's see here. Now, this is the HO scale version. Now, this is another kit that we haven't gotten a whole lot of. So if you've done this kit, I'd love to see it. Nice, clean version. Looks really nice. Let's see the other photo here. Let's see what we got here.
Springfield 2.
All right, there we go. Again, another clean shot. Looks good. Well, we're done with the photos. Let's move this show along. And let's head over to the guys.
Hey guys, Artie Fahey along with Jack Ellis here on this rainy night and a 50-something degree day, which is a good thing.
Foggy, rainy.
And we have turned into Mudville here again at Bar Mills. Sliding away on the existing snow, and when you're not sliding in the snow, you're slipping in the mud. Welcome, Jack. Big night tonight.
Oh, big night.
It is. It's been a while since we've been here. We've missed February. And here we are in March, anxiously awaiting the arrival of April. And it won't be long before we're changing our clocks here on the East Coast, and I guess every place else for that matter. Anyhow, tonight we're going to do something a little bit differently. Normally we have a guest come on, whether it's a modeler or an industry guest, but Jack has taken this time to put together a long clinic on basic tools that you can pick up pretty much any place. And we're going to be giving Jack a little more time, as well as discussing a lot of things that are going on right now. Now, I see a little flickering in the screens here. Hopefully everything's coming across okay. We had a little internet outage last night, which is pretty much par for a Monday, it seems, in Maine. I don't know why Mondays, but we seem to be the lucky ones. We have a few topics tonight. One is casting issues, and I'm talking about not physical casting, but...
Yeah, we could have done better with you.
Yeah.
We could have cast
I
somewhere
never
else.
made it. Nobody wanted me on the casting couch. I mean, please God, I tried. I do want to welcome Steve Moskin, Gary Chestnut, Gene Trumbull, John Clark, Rick Covey, of course, he's always here, and so many others here today. And Timothy Winchell, who Tim, I think you saw a photo that you submitted. Jim Armour, of course, and the folks from Wigwag and my buddy Frank Bernard. And there are more. Jack, do you have anybody on that side?
No.
Nobody.
No.
I see Artie Crass.
Artie Crass, yeah.
And I see Mike Saunders from St. Albans, Vermont. Well, you're getting all the New Englanders.
I must be.
You must be.
Well, that's because this is a bigger screen. It's closer.
That's it. So anyhow, we're going to talk about, the first thing I want to talk about is casting issues. Sometimes we have issues with our kits. Generally, sometimes they're our fault. Many times they are not, to be honest with you. We have attracted a lot of people into the hobby that normally would not buy craftsman level kits. We've kind of shifted the hobby, so craftsman level kits, hopefully we've shifted it in the direction of what Leo Campbell did many years ago, where everybody built them. You didn't have to be a once-a-year modeler or a guy with a very deep pair of pockets to afford a craftsman kit. And we had an issue today with a customer who, despite his rhetoric, was obviously a novice. And he was concerned that when he looked at the pictures, the castings in the kit did not necessarily match the ones in the pictures. And there's a reality to that, Jack. You know what it is, right?
Why are you asking me? I don't.
Well, you don't know what it is. Well, I'll tell you what it is that on our older kits, we were depending on white metal castings, and we've upgraded to our resin castings. We have both. Sometimes you have to have both. And as a result, a lot of the white metal things we used to have in our prototype pictures from, let's face it, it's been almost 23 years, have not been supplanted by the resin ones, but we're putting newer ones in the kit. So you'll look at the box, you'll see 3 barrels and something else, and meanwhile you'll get a whole different thing, and that should not upset you. We are substituting things. Number one, the resin castings, in my opinion, are just superior. They paint more easily. They're a little bit lighter, so they're easy to ship. And metal has gone from $7 a pound back when we started Bar Mills to $23 a pound. Build back better. You know, that's what we're doing here. Unfortunately, it's going to mean a substantial increase in price too. But you should know about that. $7 to $23 a pound. Fortunately, we shifted to resin a while ago, and while the cost of resin is also skyrocketing, at least the weight on resin is what it is, and the postal rates are going up too. I don't know if you're sensitive to that.
Resin's an oil derivative, so guess what?
Hey, guess what?
$1.30 a gallon.
$1.30 a barrel.
$1.30 a barrel today.
$1.30 a barrel.
No. That's what I got. Yeah.
That's what happens when you don't pay attention. A little ADD going on here. Yeah. We also had not one but 2 correspondences today about corner posts. One guy put the interior bracing as the corner posts, and the other guy took the corner posts and instead of putting them on the ends of the walls, put them in the backs of the walls, but aligning the corners. So despite the fact that we are a craftsman kit company, the fact of it is a lot of you have to pay a little more attention to the instructions, and maybe I have to do a better job writing them as well. So if we've all made mistakes like that, but it just shows what goes on here. We also have some production issues. As many of you know, we did not make Springfield, Massachusetts this year. Lenny, who you've just seen, was out ill with COVID, and the guys that worked here were sensitive about possibly catching COVID, and we shut down for a few days, better part of a week because of that. And to top it off, one of the guys is actually going to the the doctor once or twice a week for yet another issue. So our staff is down. And I have to ask Lenny this question: if we were to make 100 kits a day, which we don't, and say we used to make 100 kits a day, and we had enough to fill everybody's order, how many kits a day do we have to do now to cover everybody's order the way things are, Len? Now Lenny's our production manager. He's going to have a better idea of this than even I do.
Realistically, probably 3 to 4 kits a day.
3 to 4 kits a day.
Yes.
I said 100 kits a day, and you're saying 3 to 4 kits.
I'm talking about that many different of 100 kits. So 500 kits a day to really kind of catch up to where we need to be.
It's a big thing. We haven't really caught up. We've been behind schedule for over 2 years now. It precedes COVID because we've been so busy with the Christmas kit a couple of years ago, sliding into COVID, yet another year of COVID, yet all these new kits that we're coming out with. So there's a lot going on, and we used to be pretty much almost 100% of every kit on the shelf. We are struggling to maintain, what would you say, not 100%, Lenny? What are we shooting for, about 70% maybe?
Yeah, 75%.
Yeah, and that's with us busting our horns. And yes, we are tired. It's been over 2 years, and all of us are afraid to take off. We squeeze some time, but not very much. So if you're waiting for a kit, if you're waiting for the new kits especially, because as we add those, they even make things tighter as far as production goes. You guys have been so receptive about them. I know that we're getting a little flicker tonight. I can see this here. I don't know what's going on.
I'm going to try to fix it when we get to the...
All right, we're going to have a couple of breaks here when we go to videos. The other thing is Cemetery Hill. Cemetery Hill, amazingly, ended up not being deleted from our website. We are not ordering, but honoring orders. And to give you an idea what's going on right now, Woodland Scenics is perhaps the finest company in model railroading when it comes to selection, how many different items they offer, and as well as their incredible shipping time as well. Now, we ordered the tombstones to Cemetery Hill towards the middle to end of last year with assurances that we would have them for Christmas. I spoke to Woodland Scenics a few days ago, and here we are in March, and they said they don't know if or when the tombstones for Cemetery Hill, they didn't say for Cemetery Hill, I'm saying that, but they don't know when they're going to get them in. It could be Christmas. Well, fortunately for us, we have made in the past tombstones made out of metal, and while we don't like to slip and slide or be deceiving on any of our kits, we are sending out, starting this week, to all of you, some metal versions of tombstones. They are not identical to Woodland Scenics, but they are more than passable, and we apologize for that, but do you really want to wait till next year? At this point, they don't really have any, at this point, they don't have really any idea of when they're coming in. It's not even on the schedule. They're so far behind.
It's just in one of those ships going around and around and around the world.
I don't know, but I'm sorry. By the way, we set up a new monitor here, and I got kind of captivated looking into the monitor, so I'm back. Okay. Tonight we're going to do something a little different.
Whoa.
We just went off the air for a second. Okay. We're going to try something a little different tonight. Jack and I are going to talk about a bunch of new kits that we are working on and tell you exactly what's coming out and when, to a point. And then Jack is going to present a 21-minute clinic. Now, it's not an advanced clinic, and a lot of you guys are going to go, well, I know that. He's doing a clinic about tools that you can purchase in your local hardware store or your Dollar General or your drugstore.
Not necessarily tools, but all kinds of stuff that we use when we're building these models and these kits, or your layout.
Now, we're going to ask you for some help with this because while the clinic is 20 minutes long and it's pre-recorded, the fact of it is, if you have certain little things that you've picked up that you'd like to share with everybody else, you will monitor our screens the best as we can so we can share your ideas with the other folks that are watching tonight, okay? So when you start watching that video, if something comes into your head that maybe isn't mentioned in the videos, and I'm sure you haven't thought of everything, Jack.
No, I haven't put everything in I have lots more, but I was doing some of the most popular stuff, that's all.
So you might want to contribute on that. So the first thing is first, in front of us here, and I don't know if you can see it, lately I've kind of shifted gears with how I'm running the company. We re-released, it was originally available as Cigar Corner that you guys know. This is the HO scale version, again, of the downtown garage. Okay, this is a standalone diorama as opposed to what we're used to seeing in the larger diorama. Now, what we've been working on is getting together and making an O-scale version of this thing. You can see them. It's not really much of a secret, the size there. And we also made an N-scale version of it, which is right here, which is kind of, you get the idea, right? Now, the fact of it is, you can purchase the HO scale version through the Bar Mills website right now. And the next day or so, we will have the O scales ready to ship, and you'll be able to purchase them. So we're going to probably put them on the website tomorrow. And then by next week, we should have the N scale available. Now, you understand doing 3 kits is 3 times the work. We're dealing with castings, we're dealing with engineering, packaging, everything, different instructions.
Don't you have that oven you just put them in and they just get bigger?
I had that shrinky dunk oven.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyhow, so these will be ready next week. Now, the one that you've been waiting for that was announced at the same time is this one over here, which is Clark's Wood Products. Can you see that okay over here? And we're going to be starting that as soon as we flip the N scale version of Downtown Garage. The HO version of Clark's is on the way. After that, we kind of have one of these things where we have to catch up with ourselves, because I'd like really to do the Clark's in N scale as well as O scale, and the engineering and all take time. So if you're into anything but HO, you're going to have some options here. Now, that being said, the April issue of Railroad Model Craftsman will feature one of our famous big ads. I guess you guys hopefully saw the catalog in the December issue. And you have it right there.
I beat you to it.
You did, but you got to hold it up so people can see it.
That's what I am.
Are you?
Yeah.
Let's see if you're doing it. Well, here's mine. It's bigger. It's the same. Anyhow, this is a double page we're featuring in Railroad Model Craftsman. Jack, you can hold that up a little bit more. And this is a little bit different kind of an ad for us, because we started integrating videos into our ads, and this one is all about the videos. And we actually made a video about the videos. If you look up here on right there is what you call a QR code, right in that part of the ad. And the QR code, should you scan it, should you scan that code when it comes out in April, this is not out yet, okay? You will get the video we are about to play for you, which will discuss what's in the ad and what you can expect. And please sit around for a few minutes. We'll talk about what's coming up, pre-recorded, and after the video is over, feel free to jump in and ask us questions. Before we go, we have hello Frank, good evening, good evening. Oh, we got a lot of things here. Hello from the Midwest Coast. Is there a Midwest Coast? Good evening, guys.
Yes,
Tim
there's a
Armour,
Midwest Coast.
John Clark, the Vintage Craftsman. Get rid of the kits or I leave. Don't let the door hit you. Get rid of the kits or I leave. I'm not sure what that's the Vintage Craftsman. I don't know.
Get rid of the kits?
Love the QR codes. That's from Frank Bernard. I do too. And it's a lot more work to put together an ad with these. And we're going to talk about it right now in this upcoming video. Lenny, are we close to airing this? All right. I got a thumbs up. Hi, and welcome to the April 2022 edition of Railroad Model Craftsman. And welcome to the Bar Mills Scale Models ad right here in the centerfold of the magazine. I'm going to take you on a quick look around what you're going to see on this page, so you'll better understand and be able to enjoy both what's coming out in Bar Mills, as well as a lot of free features here, because we are including many of our craftsman building clinics in video form right here on the bottom of the page. So if you take a look around, take a look first of all at the very bottom of the page. You'll see a series of 6, 8, 10 video clinics, all formatted in something called a QR code. The QR code is something we all see in restaurants these days. They call it menus. But if you take your phone, your smartphone, and you focus on any one of the barcodes there, you will automatically bring up any one of a series of clinics, including on how to detail structures, how to weather wood, and how to install shingles and so on. So that is all right there for you at no charge, and you can use these techniques not only on Bar Mills kits but other kits as well. Even if you're scratch building, you may find these of some use. Notable on the bottom of the page also, what would be to your far left is a tour of our own Bar Mills workshop, hosted by Len Lednam, who is our production manager, and you'll have a chance to see exactly what we do here as far as producing and manufacturing and packaging and shipping kits right here from Maine to your home. We're going to take a look at the rest of the page right now, and you'll start on your upper right hand side, something called Len's Truck Service, and that's a new kit that has not been released. and that's going to be available in both HO and O scales. It has some very unique aspects to it, especially since it's made out of what would be considered board and batten on the left side and etched brick on the right outside building there, if you take a look. Now, this is something that can be easily posed with the doors in the open position. So if you'd like to do interior detailing, add some lighting, this is a great kit to do it with. It's not going to be a tough kit, and this should be available like all of these here sometime in the spring or early summer. Just towards the center of the page, you'll see something called Sal Manila's Egg Wholesalers. Now, we originally released this kit in HO scale as part of a limited run kit we had done several years ago, and it has not been available in HO scale since then. However, we do also have this in N scale, and like the other kits on this site here, on this page, these will be coming to you sometime during the upcoming season. We cannot give you an exact date or provide exact prices, but they will all be listed on our Bar Mills website, barmillsmodels.com. So if you want to keep up with release dates or pricing or so on, eventually the website will reflect that information once we have it in hand. If you look at the left side of the page, we have not one or two, but three different offerings. On the top left is a brand new HO kit we're going to be releasing called the Ice House at Cranberry Yard. If you're not familiar, Cranberry Yard is a series of ongoing kits that we developed for a small branch line type terminal. And this is yet another new offering geared towards that. Of course, you can use it alone as well, this time in HO scale only. And just below that, you will see not one but two small generic buildings that could have been used in the Midwest or in the Northeast or in the smallest of towns. And this is actually a two-pack. And it's we themed them as a barbershop and a surveyor office, but they can be themed pretty much as anything you'd like to, and can be weathered to the extreme. And the nice thing here is, yes, they are in HO, but they are also going to be available in O scale when the time comes. Now, towards the bottom of the page there, or bottom center, you'll see an ash pit. Now, this is something brand new, only for HO scale, guys. And this is basically a one-piece resin casting that has to be installed in your layout. Just a little bit of a hole in your layout to put this in. You'll be providing the track, so the track will work with what your existing track is. And it is a stone appearing resin casting, and all of the details, including the coal in the bottom of the and the ashes in the bottom of the casting, are already in place. There's some minor building here, but very, very little, and will take very little effort. This goes great with the Cranberry Yard series, but can also be used in so many other places on any model railroad to add that kind of a detail that we often overlook. If we can step back just a couple issues ago of the Railroad Model Craftsman, you would have seen the ad for the Downtown Garage, which will be offered in HO scale, O scale, and N scale. And by the time you see this video in this particular issue of Railroad Model Craftsman, all three sizes, all three scales of that particular structure should be available on our website, so you might want to keep up with that. Also, in that same issue, we featured Clark's wood products, which, although we are in production right now, by the time you see this ad, that should be available as well in both HO scale and N scale. So a couple of new things there if you go back just a couple of issues of Railroad Model Craftsman. Well, we'd like to thank you for your time this time around and for all the continuing support. And we will be here to support you whenever you need it. And you've been here for us almost 23 years at this point. So from Bar Mills, my name's Art. And please enjoy the videos and please enjoy the shop tour. I think you'll find it well worth your time. Until the next issue of Railroad Model Craftsman, thanks for dropping by. Okay, are we back here, Len? I guess we are. Anyhow, if you scan that QR code right on the middle of the page up there in the April Railroad Model Craftsman, this is what you'll be getting right there. And I see we've hit a couple test screens coming up, but I'm assured everything is working well. We shall see. Keep an eye out also for all these QR codes here. A lot of our clinics featuring Jack, of course, as well as our shop tour. If you haven't seen it, Hopefully we'll have a great chance to share it more with people that don't necessarily follow us on Facebook or our website or YouTube, whatever it is, Jack.
Or haven't had a chance to get here. Remember about that. I mean, if you're in the area and you'd like to have a shop tour or come in and see us, give us a call. We like to show it around, but we need you to let us know you're coming. So there's somebody here. So give us a call and we'll give you the tour.
We've actually had more visitors this year than all last year, and we're only in March. Folks are starting to travel a little bit, and we look forward to seeing more of you right here. Jack, why don't you tell us a little bit about the clinic we're going to watch that you've prepared? And by the way, I am looking at some of the comments here. Understand that April ad, which is still a month away from you even seeing that ad, refers to kits that will be developed through the spring and the summer. Because while all that is being done, we are working on, conceptually, our Christmas kit. So we are trying to get all of those out in multiple scales. I know one of you asked what's coming out in N scale. We didn't mention the downtown garage, which you can see in front of you, as well as the Clark wood products in N scale as well. So there's a couple right there. Could be another one, but we're behind on production by about 30% right now. And by the time we make literally hundreds of these kits between all of them, it's going to be very difficult, especially with sometimes we have trouble getting supplies. Plywood is the latest thing. Go figure, right? Jack, did you want to talk about what we're going to see as far as this clinic goes?
No.
Nothing.
No. No, we're going to talk about basically what it is. It's I call it is I don't have to buy everything at the hobby store. So it's where you can find some things that I use commonly, some techniques that we use. I'm a big fan of things like Michael's and things like that, which is kind of a hobby store. But we're going to go through a bunch of stuff that I've used to do a lot of my weathering, a lot of my building of these kits and dioramas.
So you may have other ideas, and these are not meant to be advanced ideas. We're going to talk about hobby knives and sandpaper and paints, and some of you may get a couple chuckles out of it, but we don't expect to go over too many heads with this. But here again, today was the day that I had not one, but two calls on where do I put a corner post in a kit. So we do have to consider those modelers too. It's important that they come into the hobby and that we help them out. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we get to a point where we're basically that's for us is second nature. I mean, when we put a corner post in it, we don't think about it. So these people that are now starting out haven't done this hundreds and thousands of times, and they need to learn to do that.
It feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It
Well,
does.
I'll tell you, I've done a lot of corners.
Thank God 4 a.m. is on my clock because it tells me I better get to bed before the sun comes up.
Well, that sometimes doesn't work. So.
Oh, I see Todd Bryan has chimed in that he was on our tour here last September and he enjoyed it. That's great. As well as Bob K. And Jim Armour says, will these videos download to the computer? Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I can watch them on my iPhone, have them at they're a little smaller, but it gives me something to do when I'm in the bathroom.
It's not much of a charge.
It used to be a newspaper, now it's an iPhone.
Yeah, we don't charge much.
We don't charge much. We'll just give us your credit card number.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll just use it appropriately.
And Todd Bryan is thanking Lenny for being Lenny is often the guide here at the shop tours. The shop tour is great. Ron Class says if anyone gets to Portland, Maine, stop by. And Lenny, are we about set? Because we have a 20-minute video coming up. This is a good time. If you've seen all the stuff, to maybe take a little break and come back, but we would like some input from you on this. And this will actually wind up tonight as the first Monday without a guest this time around. And we had a little more time to talk about what's going on. We missed last month, and there's just so much to catch up on.
Oh, I didn't miss it. It was there. Oh, man, was it there.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, one thing before I forget, I got an email from the folks at Caliper. They are getting together with the Great American Train Show people. And for those of you who live in the Midwest and go to the Milwaukee show, the Train Fest, that is going to be revived. So if you know that, great. And if you don't know it, now you know it. A little information that we get.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys around the nation but train shows have been in very short supply.
Oh, yeah.
And they're beginning to come back now. because I do a bunch of them, and I've got a bunch of requests to go and purchase tables and stuff. So they're coming back. Don't worry, they're coming back. We'll be able to go out and peruse the stuff that people have to sell.
Lenny, how are we doing on the other video? Have we gotten any place with that?
Check it out.
All right, let me know when we're getting away from these folks.
Hi guys, this is Jack Ellis here at Bar Mills. Tonight we're going to do a clinic on what you can use that you don't have to buy at the hobby store for your modeling of your structures and your railroad. So let's get started. We'll pick off a subject and we'll start with paints. I'm going to start off with using acrylic paints. These are the acrylic paints, you know, craft paints. You can buy at big box stores, hobby shops, anywhere from 50 cents to $1.50. They're acrylic, they're easy to use, they make nice washes. You can buy them in 1,000 colors. I like this pavement. This is a black. You might want to pick some of this pavement up. Sometimes it's hard to find. And you'll always use white. So those are two basic colors you want to get. Our next in paints is spray paints. And we can use rattle cans for now for these modelers that don't have an airbrush. We use Touch and Tone. This is a gray primer. It's a nice flat color. They also have it in a flat white, which I use for a lot of my windows and things like that in my trim. We use these types of paints, these inexpensive paints, because they have less pigment in them and they dry a little quicker and they don't hide the detail in the fine detail in some of the castings. The other paint I like to use is, this is Rust-Oleum Camouflage. They have like 4 different colors, 2 greens, 2 browns or tans, and a dark brown. This one happens to be Army Green. These are great colors. They're very flat. They go on really smooth. They're a little heavy, so you want to be light-handed with them. They can be used for window, walls, everything. I found out, too, that sometimes I'll get to a point where I can't use a spray can. I need to brush it on. So what I'll do is I'll take this, and I'll take a plastic cup, and I will actually spray them right into the cup. I'm not going to do it here, but I would spray this right into the cup till it accumulates in puddles, where then I could use a brush and paint with the same color I have in my spray can. The only thing you'll need other than the cup is some paint thinner. This is for not acrylic, for oil-based paint. So you need a little bit of paint thinner to clean out your brush. And with that, that's how you do all your spray paints out of your spray cans. This is another product that comes in a spray can. This is clear acrylic sealer, and it happens to be matte. And I use this instead of dull coat. One reason is it doesn't smell and it's not as bad for you as the dull coat. It works great for fixing signs or fixing chalk or fixing any kind of weathering powders that you want to onto your models. And it works great. Can be bought box stores, Walmart, all these places, art stores. Take a look for it. Look at the label. You can figure out they get it. Make sure you get it in the matte, not in the gloss. The next thing we're going to talk about is ink and alcohol as a wash. And what I have here is, this is isopropyl alcohol. And this one happens to be 90%. I like to use 90% because there is a 70% and 90%. The difference is water. So we don't want the water if we can help it. And I'm going to use Higgins India ink. This one happens to be waterproof. It doesn't have to be waterproof, but this one happens to be. And you're going to mix 2 teaspoons to a pint. And that's your base. You can make it a little darker, a little lighter, depending on what you want to use it for. And that's a wash that goes, I use almost everything. So that's ink and alcohol wash. Ink and alcohol is something that we can get that we don't have to buy at the hobby store. But an alternative to that, if you like the Hunter line, which has multiple different colors, when we're talking about ink and alcohol, we only have black. So Hunter line's a great alternative to go if you need a different color. I've had a lot of people ask me what I use for stucco. And that is, I can put stucco on wood, I can put it on cardboard, I can put it on a lot of different substrates. What I've been using in the past is, this is a Liquitex. It's called ceramic stucco. It's a little expensive, a little pricey, but it works pretty good. It's a good sized jar. You'll probably never go through the whole thing. I have it labeled on the top because I have one that looks about the same that I use for water. The other one I found, and this is at Michael's, this is called a Suede, and it comes in colors. This one happens to be like a cocoon color. I think it's called a cocoon, very possibly. And what both of these are is there's a gel, acrylic gel that has pumice in it. And that gives you that texture that you want for stucco. So either one of these works great. This one's a little less expensive than this one. You can get it at, this one is probably Michael's or a hobby store, like a Hobby Lobby or something like that. And this one is any art store. So if you can pick these up, these work great. They'll last you a long time. I'm going to move on now to what I use for mortar in my brick walls. And this is like, I think the name is, it's Acrylic Spackle that they use for wall spackling. It comes like a paste. I happen to buy this one at a dollar store. I think it's Dollar Tree. It's $1 for this unit. If you buy it in the big box stores at the main companies that make this stuff, it's probably like $6. And I found out that this one lasts longer in the jar because you're going to use it very sparingly. I put it on my finger, so it's easy to rub it on, wipe it off, and it does great mortar lines. It can be stained once it's on, so it makes it very universal for mortar lines. So that's what I use for mortar. All right, now I'm going to talk about glues. I like to use AC, and this is the type of AC I use. It's a Gorilla Glue. It's the same size as you buy of all the ACs. It works well with the accelerator. The nice thing about the Gorilla Glue, it has a rubber emulsion in it. Makes it a little more flexible and not quite so brittle. The second one is a 5-minute epoxy. And this one happens to be JB Weld. The only thing I like about this one really is they're all about the same, but I like the nozzle at the end that keeps the tip clean. These are used for if you're doing maybe a plaster model, or you've got something heavy that you want to hold down really tight on a model so it doesn't slide and shift and when you're moving around and come loose. The next thing is regular old white glue, which we all use for a lot of things. 50-50 mix for scenery, 50-50 mix for signs. But this is my go-to for that, holding something down that's loose and like scenery material. And then in my wood kits, I use Type Bond 2. This is yellow glue. It works really well. It tacks up pretty quickly. It dries pretty quickly, and once it's dry, it's waterproof, and that makes my joints waterproof. So if I'm using a lot of liquid when I'm doing my models for weathering, I'm not softening the glue and making the joint come apart, basically. So those are what I do for quick on. This is some of the things I use for cutting. You know, everyone uses a straight edge razor blade, and you can find these holders around. These work really well. You can change the blade very easily. Buy a pack of razor blades so you have them, so you can, when this one gets dull, you just keep replacing it. This is, I think, an essential. This is a number 11 blade pack of 100, and I'll go through one of these, probably 2 of these a year, no problem at all. So they're worth to have, so you can keep changing the blade out when it gets dull. And the last thing for cutting is a decent pair of scissors. You want to get a decent pair of scissors for cutting paper. Everyone asks me, how do you cut corrugated metal? And this is the way you cut corrugated metal. Use a pair of scissors or tin foil. So these are my things that I get for cutting from not the hobby store. This is just, I can go out and get these at any hardware or big box store. On this segment, we're going to talk about tapes. I got a bunch of tapes here that I like to use. One of them is blue painter's tape. This works great. You can hold down pieces that you want to spray paint. You can use it to tape off to make nice straight lines. It's got a couple other uses, but this works great for that type of purposes. I do have some copper tape, and I like to use this when I use lighting inside my buildings. I'll actually use this as a wire, which becomes soldered together just like a wire. It lays flat on the wall, and you can paint right over it, and they completely disappear. The third tape is transfer tape, and this happens to be Scotch transfer tape. It's like a double-sided tape. You peel off the backing, and all it leaves is the adhesive. Very thin, works very good. Shingles, I've seen walls done with it, so it works very well. Signs can go on with it. So there's a bunch of things you can do with the transfer tape. And the last one, and not the least, I think, is the plain old Scotch tape. I'll cut this into very small strips, wrap it around tubing or a piece of pipe to make look like there's joints in the pipe. You paint right over it. Works really great. Doesn't have to be very thin. It's very thin. So you don't use a lot of it, but it's a great thing to have on the bench anyway. This next thing that we're going to go over is painting, and I'm going to go over some brushes. These are not my good brushes. These are my inexpensive brushes that I don't really care about, and I'm going to get rid of them. If I ruin them, I don't really care. And I think this is 10 or 12 brushes here. It's a 10-piece set from Folk Art. I got this one, happened to be at Walmart. You can find them around. It's got 9 or 10 00 paint brushes in it, which are sometimes hard to find, and they work great. And this one here is a little bigger assortment with some flat brushes, which I can use, and some bigger number 6 tip brushes. These are all within the $6, $7 range. There's not a lot of these. I mean, if I wreck them, I throw them away and just buy another pack. The other one I use is, these are natural sponges. They come in a little thing, and I use it for sponge painting. That means you dip it in, get most of the paint off, and then you get a random effect of paint. They come in a little bag like this. I think they're $5 or $6, and they work great. You can get flat cosmetics brushes that are very tight, so you can do flat surfaces. The other thing I use here is when I wash my brushes out and I clean my brushes, I use this is the blue windshield washer fluid. This is water and alcohol. Cleans my brushes really well. I keep a small bottle on the workbench. It cleans my brushes and keeps them clean right down to the base. So this is another way you can do it. Inexpensive. I think it's $1.50 for a gallon. It'll take you a long time to go through a gallon. You want to make sure you get the winter one, though. Make sure you get the winter one that has some kind of below temperature, because that's where the alcohol is. You can get a summer one, but it's not going to work because it's not going to have the alcohol in it. So look for the one that has the alcohol in it. You people in the southern part of the country, you're going to have a little trouble finding it, but some people have found it. All right, I'm going to talk about some paint pens and markers and regular mechanical pencils. I like to use a mechanical pencil. It keeps a nice sharp point. You have a bunch of these on my table. They work really well. I don't have to keep sharpening the pencil. I'll just add a little more. The other one is magic markers. When you have a sign and you have a white edge on the sign, you need to get rid of that white edge. By using a fine point magic marker, you can go from the back and get the edge either black. If I got a red sign, I'll use red. If I got a blue sign, I'll use blue. I got a couple more colors of this, but that works for when I do my signs to get my edges the right color. And the last piece in this is what they call paint pens. This one is a silver one, and they're all very fine points. So if I need some small point lines, these are paint also. They're not ink. So if you have barrels that have those barrel stays, you know, the barrel hoops, and you need to paint the barrel hoops, these work just like a very fine point pen, and you can get those barrel hoops done very easily with the paint pens, and they won't run with the alcohol when you weather them. These are a couple of miscellaneous things that I'm just going to go over with quick that I use on the workbench. One of it is called Post-it notes that I use as pallets. I can use it to scrub paint off of brushes to do dry brushing. I can use it to put a small amount of glue if I want to pick it up with a pin or a skewer to put it in places. And then when I'm done with that, I can rip it off and throw it in the trash, and I'm not going to lean in it. So they work well for that. They keep them right on the bench. The next thing is something we found from Rockler, and it's a silicone-based glue holder. You can put your glue in it. It won't stick to it. It has a cover. That's when you put the cover on, it seals and keeps it from drying out. And when you flip it over, it has a place to lean a brush or a pinhead or something like that, so it's not laying on the deck. And then when you're done, you close it up, put it back on your bench, and it will keep the glue from drying out for a longer period of time. The other thing I have is pallets, mixing pallets. I do my acrylic paints and water for this to make my washes, and then I'll put it right on my model. They're great to have for mixing glue. If I do my tar around my chimneys and things, I'll use white glue and black paint, and these mix them in and then put them around the chimney. The other thing I have is here, these are makeup brushes. They're nice, soft makeup brushes. If you're going to do some weathering powders on a large thing and you need to make it look rusty, I can put it on with that, and it gives it a light sheen that covers the whole thing. They're inexpensive. They're great to have on the bench. And if you need to clean something off with it, they work really well. The last thing we have here is my glue bottles that I found on the internet. You can find them. Look onto plastic bottle with needle valves. I use them for alcohol, scenery glue. I use them for a yellow glue to get a very little amount on the thing. They're very inexpensive. You can get a whole bunch of them, I think, for like $8. So I love those things. They're great. I have tons of them. We're going to put the pressure on you. We're going to talk about clamps. Clamps. Now remember, what we're talking about here today is, or in these clinics, is that you may be able to get some of this stuff at the hobby store, but this is just an alternative place to get it if for some reason they're out, or you don't have a hobby store that's local, or you end up on a Sunday morning and need to try and go and get some. Your regular old spring clamps. Believe it or not, I got these from Harbor Freight. They make a little tube, I think it's $5 or $6. They come with assortment of the small ones and a couple of the big ones. I bought 2 tubes and that's plenty. And the other one is the good old, which are harder to find, box of wooden clothespins. And you're going to flip them, invert them. You can see here we've inverted this. So it has a great big throat to it. They're great. They're inexpensive. If you need to sharpen these down or make a certain type that to fit somewhere, you can actually shape these down. They work really great. Inexpensive. The other one, this is a typical bar clamp, but this is an inexpensive one. This is, I think, was like $2 or $3. I think this came from Harbor Freight also, but you can get them, the very expensive ones. They're in the $9 range for one of these, and these will get $2 or $3 a piece. So if you can find the inexpensive bar clamps, it's worth it to have at least 2 or 3 or 4 of these, and that's what I use for some of my clamps. We have here a couple of other items that we're going to discuss. They're kind of not in the same thing, but they're kind of a mix. One is these, what they call hobby sticks or tongue depressors or craft sticks. They're the larger ones. These are great for holding detail parts. I just glue them to the stick with some tacky glue, and then I can paint this, spray paint it. I can hold it here this way and paint it whatever color I want. I can turn it any direction. And when I'm done, I just snap them off and they're all done. The bottom doesn't get painted, but almost every time you put a piece down, the bottom doesn't show anyway because it's going to be on the bottom of the detail part. The other one I have was, if you look at the detail picture, this is silver beading wire. And if you look at it very closely, you may see it in the picture, you may not. It's actually twisted just like cable is. This one happens to be silver. You can get it in black. You can get it in gold. You can get it in bronze. But I like the silver because I don't have to really paint it. If I want to rust it up a little, I can. Works great for machines or pulleys or things like that. Real simple wire. It holds its shape. It works really well. The last thing here is solder. And the nice thing about solder is it comes in a lot of different diameters. And what I can use is by painting it, and then I can mold it into shapes for pipes and things like that, or a hose that lays on the ground. Like if you go to a gas station in the old days, they used to have a wire that you ran over. A tube, and it would ring a bell inside. So that would really work great because it would move like a rubber hose and not like a stiff piece of wire. So that's what I use my solder for. Gas pump lines, any kind of flexible line. That's what I'd use my solder for. Here's an item that works really well. This is a digital caliper for measuring some small pieces of, it could be wood, dowel, anything like that. It is electronic. It gives you a readout. It gives you a readout metric or in inches or in decimals, depending upon which one you want. It also does, this is for outside diameter, and then these 2 little prongs back here for inside diameter. So if you needed a tube and you want to know what the tube was, you can do the inside diameter and the outside diameter. I also use it a lot for measuring my glazing for my windows, because I can put this inside my window, the inside frame, and I can measure it, and then I can use it to tap down on my styrene and then cut my strips for my windows. So this thing I use all the time. This is called a digital caliper. Not expensive. They're probably in the $10 to $12 range. There's a bunch of places you can get them. All right, this is mat board. This is a strato board or mat board. It's a paper product. Got some nice rigidity to it. I use it for substrates for a lot of things. This could be a stucco building. It could be a wood over the top of this if I wanted to. I can use a paper or a brick paper or something like that. But this is actually like you use with wood for your walls. I can use this as a substrate, and it works really great. It's used for doing pictures. You can go there and see if they have cutouts. They'll sell you sometimes cutouts. If you can't, they sell it by the sheet. The other thing is This is colored paper. And if you go in a craft store or Michael's or something like that, they have a wall full of all different kinds of color paper. And I use them for window shades. So I have multiple colors of window shades here. Depending upon the color of the building, I want them to stick out, I will use different color window shades. So that's what we've had for all different kinds of things that when you need something and you need it maybe in a hurry, you can go to a store or a hardware store or even, as I said, a cosmetic center and get one of these things that you need if you don't have a hobby shop or the hobby shop is too far away or you need it right away. So this is what we're talking about, these pieces. Some of this stuff you also can get at the hobby store. And if you can get it at the hobby store, you might want to go to your hobby store and support them. Because if we don't support these hobby stores that are out there, they're going to disappear completely. So, and you know, I think you all know that it's far and few between right now for hobby stores. You can get them online also, but if you can put a little more money into those hobby stores, I think it's a little better for our hobby. With that, saying that, I think thank you for watching. I hope you can find the stuff you're looking for. If you have any questions about it, you can email us here at Bar Mills, and maybe we can give you the right direction of where to go and what to get. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.
And we are back, and hopefully you enjoyed that clinic. I know it was kind of basic, kind of a back to the basics clinic.
I'm tired. That was a long class.
You're tired. I could see you just watching it. You got sleepy.
I know.
We had a few comments about different things, like Jim Reese mentioned cuticle scissors, which for a while we were really promoting. We were giving them out for a while. Here again, they've gotten so expensive that we can't even do that kind of a promotion anymore. And a couple of you, Tim Winchell and Steve Maskin, asked about the Ice House. They are looking forward to it. So am I. I think it's a great little thing. I've had my eye on doing that model for forever. I actually have a small version of that on my Anscala yacht that I built back in the 1990s.
Way back then?
Way back when, and I'm so young. Ron Scannell
Did they have ice
and
back
Jim
then?
Armour, I believe, were very big on the ash pit, Jack. And Jack actually did the master for the ash pit. Why don't you tell us? Why don't you explain exactly the detail that's involved in that?
It's about just a little over half an inch deep, and it's the stone that we've used on all of our buildings for the surround. A couple of pylons are actually molded into the bottom of the ash pit, and then you just create these two girders that go across the top, and then two tubes that go between it to space them out. A couple of castings, and then all you have to do is paint it. It comes with the ashes even in the bottom of the pit. The bottom is brick with some concrete steps. It's going to be a real simple kit to do, but I think it'll add a lot of spice to your layouts and your engine facilities.
That could come out a little sporadically. That may come out suddenly. Right now we're working on getting the castings done, but you understand when we do castings, we're not doing 2 or 3 castings. On that particular one, I think we're working on something like 200 for the original, and then we'll figure out what it's going to cost. Whatever it costs, but you can't cut back on quality because you're too worried about the dollar thing for what it's worth.
Yeah, that's going to be like a 2-night kit. It's going to be really quick, and you're going to get some like instant gratification. It's really cool.
That's a great. I mean, you're not going to put that in the background.
No,
nobody's going to see it. We have Ed O'Rourke says, I don't think you mentioned nail filing sticks. You can get all sizes and grits at the cosmetic store.
Yep, you can do it too. They got all kinds. They work pretty well. They have a couple padded ones that you can get that kind of mold. You can get around round things and things like that. They just don't do flat, so you get that a little softer. Or you can get, as I said, all kinds of grits. And you can all get them in the same one too. I've seen them where they have 4 different grits. Yeah. 4 on the same piece. You just turn it around.
Thank you, Edward O'Rourke. Now we have Todd Bryan says there is a paint from auto parts stores, I guess, is it called Trunk, Trunk paint? Did you ever hear of that? It works great for rolled roofing paint. That sounds, maybe it reticulates, so, you know.
It must be, is that textured paint that they use to, it's kind of like the one they use for the beds of trucks and things like that, I think, and it's a little thick, but it probably would give you the texture that they're looking for.
One of the old tricks is taking the clothespins and inverting them, but Charlie Chapuis, how do we say that? If you're from Quebec, you probably are hating me right now for butchering that. But see, to him, that was a new idea. And that's the whole idea of this kind of a clinic, is to kind of reintroduce things that maybe we knew and kind of forgot about, or maybe we didn't even know in the first place.
Yeah, I got to believe a lot of this stuff has been around a long time. And sometimes they begin to get overlooked because of all the new techniques and things like that. But some of this stuff is just my go-to stuff that I go back and use over and over again.
And it's not expensive, and it's highly, highly replaceable because you just open up a drawer in your kitchen, and chances are at least some of that stuff is floating around there. I know I don't even want to think about what's in the bottom of some of our drawers at home here. All right, a lot of folks like your clinic, Jack, so I guess we're going to keep you around a little bit longer. I have so much more to teach you.
Yep. Someone's asking about the aluminum foil. We talked about making curtains.
Yes.
Curtains.
That's Jeff DeVito. Now, he did some incredible models. Jeff, I don't know if you saw it earlier, but we had your models on earlier.
Not just curtains, Jeff. Try using it for canvas over a load of, say, lumber or something. You're going to get it. It'll mold around it. It'll give you the creases. And it works really good for that, too. And I use Kills, which is a shellac type of paint for my primer, and it comes in white. Works great. You can't scrub it off once it's on. So
we're going to do something a little unusual here. We're going to give the ultimate kit bashing award to the guy who came into the station, the bar mill station, to fix one of these heat pumps, the mini splits
up on the wall,
way up on the wall. We have 11-foot ceilings, and he was up there with his ladder. And he
on a very slippery floor.
The floor wasn't slippery, but he went down pretty hard, and he actually did the ultimate kit bash. Our lovely, one of a kind, hand built, which one I did originally, the master or the prototype for our American seltzer company, ended up with one quick shot. Looking just like this here.
It's a kit bash with emphasis on bash.
Yeah, a lot of bash, and it's time to revisit that kit. So if you're looking for the ultimate kit bash prize, that's it. That's our prototype to American Seltzer. If you have the Bar Mills catalog, or even if you look online, you'll see what that building used to look like.
Yeah. I think that piece in the front belongs up on the building, so it got.
Yeah, that's the front. That's the upper front. Yeah. So there we go. Ouch.
Yeah.
So we're going to be rebuilding that one. It says here for number drills, try Grangers for number drills. Harbor Freight sells a micro drill set. Those are always good because you have to use a pin vise, which we didn't even mention in the tools like that. You could go out.
I got a couple of pin vices.
All right. Well, yeah, it must have been in a tornado. It actually ended up with the guy up there trying to do his job, and I wasn't mad at him. I'm just going to sue his company.
What he's lucky about is he moved one before this one got squashed.
I moved right next to it, and on top of it actually was the O-scale version of the Torrey Hill Lumber Company, which is in a big custom-made glass case.
Which we can't get anymore.
And which I can't even get because now they couldn't get plastic, so because of the masks or whatever. And so they're out of business. And that Torrey Hill O-scale took me forever to build. And I enjoyed it, but I dreaded it. It's one of those things you love to hate, if you know what I mean. The guy, is he okay? I mean, he's still laying on the floor. He's not leaving until that kit gets rebuilt. Now, he's a nice guy. He's been here before working on we need heat in the winter. We are in Maine. Anyhow, I think that's going to be it, Jack. Do you have anything else you want to kind of jump in on?
What's that? Dan Nichols said he would like to see more of your buildings. I don't know which your is. It could be Art's, Lenny's.
Lenny just tripped over the computer wire. Hopefully it was still on.
Now I'm laying on the floor.
We're having a good time.
Oh, God. Anyhow, here we are. We're the end of March. We're not at the end of March. It feels like it. We're on the 7th already. Let me take a quick look.
He wants to know if you sold out of the lumber building kit.
The lumber building kit, that's probably the Torrey Hill kit.
I would think so.
In
what scale?
We kind of saved the O-scale version of it. We are sold out in HO right now. We have it in O-scale right now. We're working on it this week, Lenny says. Now, first Monday in April is April 4th, and we will see you then. and hopefully we'll all have a good time together, and we'll have a good time then, as my old buddy Harry Chapin, who I did know, used to say, cats in the cradle. You know, we're going to have a good time then, in this case in April. So that's it for tonight. For Jack Ellis,
We'll see you guys later.
Len Lednam, myself, of course, Jim Mooney, who's not here, my beautiful wife Nancy, and the crew at Bar Mills. And we do have a crew at Bar Mills. Appreciate you all stopping by, and pass this around a little bit and share the hobby. That's what it's all about. So that's it for tonight.